period. I mean, that's like denying the sun came up this morning. And again, it's that denial. I was on national Spanish radio in Spain today. It's actually European-wide. It's English radio, English-speaking radio out of Spain. And the host had callers asking him, about, well, USA Today says the NDAA doesn't affect citizens. Is Ron Paul and Alex Jones lying? And I just said to the host, I said, look, you just need to go and get all the senators admitting it, and you can pull up the subsection where it says it affects citizens. But again, people say to us, well, if it's... Sometimes I get distracted because they put something up on screen and then I start reading it and then I forget the last thing I was talking about. Oh, people ask, well, if they get caught lying all the time, why do they do it? Because it doesn't matter even if they get caught lying. It makes the discussion about, is this going on and are you a liar, instead of the discussion being, why are you taking people's political dissidents' organs and why are Americans and others buying them? I mean, it's one thing to buy something from China. You can argue, well, it gives them some job. But it's another thing entirely to say, oh, I'll take an organ from somebody who's dead. People are like, well, how about you need a liver? I can tell you right now, if I needed a liver and it was going to come from some Chinese dissident, goodbye, I'm ready to die. Somebody dies in a car wreck, great, I'll take their liver. But, I mean, this is such a no-brainer. I don't want to live in a world where we're cannibalizing each other for each other's body parts. Now let's talk about our children. What if your child needed it? Somebody else had to die. I'll be honest. I'd think about it. And I know what I'd say. No. Because people are like, wow, you're really a good guy. That's a good person today that wouldn't do that? Folks, none of us are safe when we live in a society like that. I know I keep preaching. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back and in 2 segments get to all your calls, and then I'm going to get to the Ron Paul news and the police state news and the UN news that I've already mentioned some, and a bunch of other stacks I haven't even gotten to yet, but we've covered quite a bit so far. We've done 2 hours of radio. I haven't plugged any of the specials. Most areas in the U.S. can still get video or T-shirt or ball cap orders from the InfoWars store. If you order today, it's not guaranteed everywhere in the country. You had to order by last night to do that. But we have the Everything Special, all 18 of my films on DVD. And your purchase finances our operation and what we're doing. I want to thank you. But then you get 18 gifts to give people. But so what if you don't get it by Christmas? It's a great gift to give 18 people, your police chief, your preacher, your pastor, whatever. That's available $99.95, over 70% off, normally $360. And we have the great new film, The Noble Lie, talking about Oklahoma City. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into hour number 3. And wow, this is going to be a jam-packed hour. Coming up later, Windows 8 to feature image sign-on system, a face scan. I told you that was coming to buy and sell. How do I know? I've read what MIT, DARPA, and the big companies are saying a decade ago was a plan. Face scanning cameras going up everywhere. Walter Reed accidentally bans Bibles. And this illustrates, well, I'll talk about it later, but I see articles all the time where schools go, now no Christmas stuff officially, but children are allowed to give cookies or Christmas cards individually. They have a right of association. Because the schools go, no religion in school. Do not say the name Jesus. And I've seen cases where they grab Bibles out of people's bags and throw them in the trash and scream at them. I mean, it's amazing what they've done with ignorance. So I'm going to talk about that. The Ron Paul situation, obviously, so big that something that big, him in the front runner now. And then I want to try to spend time on it, and then time gets away from me, but I will cover it at 20 after. Peter in Washington, then Tim and others. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Thank you for holding.
Yes. I just have kind of a footnote to what you do. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you on your speakerphone quite well.
Good. And that Oswald Spengler, in his famous book, 1918 classic, The Decline of the West, stated that Cecil Rhodes was the prototype of the last phase of Western civilization. Now, he was a determinist, and I know you're not, but you might find it interesting, so let me read a paragraph from it, okay? Rhodes is to be regarded as the first precursor of a Western type of Caesars, whose day is to come, though distant. He stands midway between Napoleon and the force men of the next centuries, just as Flaminius, who from 232 BC onward pressed the Romans to undertake the subjugation of Cisalpine Gaul, and so initiated the policy of colonial expansion, stands between Alexander and Caesar. Strictly speaking, Flaminius was a private person, for his real power was of a kind not embodied in any constitutional office, who exercised a dominant influence in the state at a time when the state idea was giving way to the pressure of economic factors. So far as Rome is concerned, he was the architect of opposition Caesarism. With him there came an end to the idea of state service, and there began the will of power to power, which ignored traditions and reckoned only with forces. Alexander and Napoleon were romantics. Though they stood on the threshold of civilization and its cold, clear air, the one fancied himself an Achilles, and the other read Werther. Caesar, on the contrary, was a pure man, of fact gifted with immense understanding. Now, the next paragraph, I don't know if you've got time, is on Rhodes.
Go ahead.
But even for Rhodes, political success meant territorial and financial success, and only that. Of this Romanness within him, he was fully aware. But Western civilization has not yet taken shape in such strength and purity as this. It was only before his maps that he could fall into a sort of poetic trance.
Well, that's very interesting, and that's a classic. I've actually never read that book that you mentioned, but I probably should. But undoubtedly, that's what this is about. And you can't have an empire and not become a police state yourself. The empire brings the tools of tyranny to other nations, subjugation, domination, and invariably brings them back home, brings the troops back to Rome. Okay, here's the deal. Newt Gingrich is plunging. Ron Paul has surged into first place. Gingrich into third. He's desperately flailing, trying to get Christian evangelicals to join the dark side. He says, hey, I'll arrest judges that make immoral rulings. I told you, you can't do that. You can move to have judges impeached by the judiciary above them or by the legislative branch, but not by the president. And you don't do it until there's been a trial. See, as soon as they get rid of this idea of, well, the military can be on the streets, and by the way, you know what follows? We're going to arrest you and have you disappear, no trial. Remember all the years I told you that was coming? And I interviewed the judge advocate generals, retired admirals, and they said, yeah, this is what they're setting up. I mean, legal scholars. Bruce Fine is one of the top advisors to Congress. The top of his class, multiple degrees, top scholar. He'll tell you, we are galloping into martial law. Ron Paul, I mean, that's what it is. That's history. And so now Newt Gingrich, I'll cover that after the Ron Paul news, after some more calls. He's saying, well, like me, I'll start arresting people who are immoral. You mean that have 3 wives and leave wives that are, think they're dying of cancer, fighting cancer, and a guy that talks about frugalness and has a $600,000 account at Tiffany's? It'd be one thing if you invented some engine and made $10 billion and you were buying your wife a, $600,000 account or whatever. That's still, I'm not into conspicuous consumption. I think it's pretty gross at a certain level. But I'm not going to judge you. But the point is to sit there and have it from money, from lobbying and selling carbon taxes and socialist health care, you pig, you just swollen sack of evil, degeneracy, and ego. You make me want to throw up. I don't want to go into my analysis again because it's long, but I've read his books. I've read the forewords he's written. I read the stuff he wrote as a college professor. And man, let me tell you, he's in the inner club. He's a bad one. He's a bad person. And I told you, as long as people find out who he is, he'll be destroyed just like everybody else. The system thinks Mitt Romney is the one that's going to make it, but he's got a lot of the same dirt as Newt Gingrich. He's not demonic. I've looked at Mitt Romney, studied him, gauged him. I don't think he's an evil person. Rick Perry is completely out of his mind and used to be on a power trip. Now his balloon's been popped because he's probably being blackmailed. He's totally broken down, and now he's just a little Nelly. He's reverted to that personality he's got. I mean, have you seen him out there? It's like a... I don't know what you call it. Anyways, you know, kind of that Nelliness of Don DeLuise or whatever. Is Don DeLuise the right name of kind of the Nelly, ninny? Is it Don DeLuise? Yeah, okay, Don, yeah. Whatever. The point is, they're all sinking. As you find out about them, it's over. As you find out about Herman Cain, gone. His lies got so ridiculous. Yes, for 13 and a half years, I paid her rent, but never told my wife, but nothing's going on. We were just friends. I thought we were friends. That'd be like if I got up here on air and said, hey, for this Christmas, buy the everything special for your wife and your girlfriend. Oh, I just paid her rent, honey, because for 13 years, because we're friends, you know what I mean? Oh, I just talked to her in the phone bills thousands of times in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. Hey, baby, I've been working all night. Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes away. It's 3 a.m. You ready for me to come on over and be your friend? Because, baby, I'm really ready to be your friend right now. And I heard neocon Christian conservative fake Christianoids on radio going, it's reasonable to help people. Heard a local talk show host, codenamed the Chipmunk. He's a nice guy, but I heard Sergeant Chipmunk on the air going, call him Sergeant Chipmunk because they've got this little piece they do where they play his voice on the next show, sped up like a chipmunk. It's really funny. He's funny when he's on air, too. He's a good guy. But the point is, he's like, because he'd already endorsed Herman Cain, he's like, well, you know, at our church, we have a lot of women coming needing help. And maybe he probably was just helping her. Yeah. Yeah, he was helping her for 13 and a half years with her rent money. Come on. One thing if it was a little old lady next door to you, and you and your wife are wealthy, but you live in a rural area and there's a poor old lady next door. Yeah, I might buy that. Yeah, you gave her money for 13 and a half years till she went to the nursing home. I mean, I've bought individuals and groups of kids hospital beds for disabled kids. Never really told that story on air, but I have. I've given money to charities, fire departments, Salvation Army and stuff. I don't sit there and run around and talk about it. I guess I am now. But no one would buy that. Okay, I'm digressing. I said I get to the Ron Paul News in your calls. Gingrich says he would arrest radical judges who step out of line. Well, you mean out of Kim Jong-Il's line? And again, these judges are out of control. They were appointed by the corrupt executive branch in many cases and confirmed by the corrupt legislative branch. And in other cases, they were elected. And you are going to arrest them if they get out of line. How about we elect good people and then they don't appoint bad judges? Or if judges get out of hand, the judiciary above them has them removed. We've got systems for this. Oh, but no, we'll have Newt Gingrich arrest them. And now we have the NDAA that Obama says he's going to sign, hadn't signed it yet, where you just